at all and you're flirting and it's misperceived, what can happen then? Well, if you're in a work environment, it can be deemed as sexual harassment. So be very, very careful with that. I will tell you, because as a court reporter, I've been in more depositions than you can imagine over just casual flirting. I've been in a lot of them that were far beyond casual, okay? But some people are gold diggers. I'll just say it and say it. I said it out loud, didn't I? Yes, I did. All right, so there you go. Now, some of them have very, very valid reasons for taking a sexual harassment case to the EEOC or anywhere else, all right? Okay. I suppose that you should probably ask yourself, what are my intentions? You know, do I want attention from someone else, either negative or positive? Because, you know, if it's perceived differently, you know, you're going to get some negative attention, maybe, perceived differently than what your intentions are. You know, am I attempting to show a chemical interest or attraction, or even a sexual interest or attraction? Because I think there are different degrees of flirting. I believe there are. And I think that we know when, you know, somebody really, really comes on to us hot and heavy, if you will, you know, where their intentions are. And it may not be very noble, right? Or is it purely innocent on my part? You know, can flirting really ever truly be innocent, I guess, is a question we should ask. Sometimes people are overtly friendly, I think, and it can be perceived as flirting when it really isn't. So, what are some ways that you know someone is flirting with you? How do you know that someone is really, really flirting with you? You know, I think that, you know, that's where I could use some of your single person's help. Although I know, you know, I'm still, even though I'm married, you know, sometimes people flirt. And so I know when that is happening. Do you know when that is happening? I suspect you do. I think using your name a lot in conversation. Now, I'll just tell you, I'm one of those people who really, I'm very, very conscientious about using people's names in conversation. And I think but a lot of people, a lot of experts will tell you that if you use somebody's name a lot in conversation, it endears them to you. You know, so if you're a salesperson, you definitely know, you know, you want to talk to that person, you know, by name. And a lot of times when, you know, I have, guests call in, you'll hear them address me by name. Well, that, you know, that makes me feel good that they remember my name. So it does spark an interest, doesn't it? Now, if you're flirting with someone and you use their name, you know, it's going to definitely strike your attention. So if that comes up a lot in the conversation and there are other things that are mixed with it, then I think that you can know that you're flirting. You know, I think complimenting you, making it a point to compliment sometimes can be flirting. Asking about your interests maybe could be flirting, you know, where you're really engaged with that person. You're really taking a keen interest in what they do, you know, what their occupation is, what their hobbies are, do they like cats? Do they like dogs? You know, what their likes and dislikes. You know, you're developing this keen interest in them. And I think that someone would really take that as being a flirtatious gesture, right? Definitely this, touching your arm or your knee is definitely an interest, right? That, I think that is a huge flirtation. It also it can be a very endearing thing as well. Now, maybe not so much the knee, you know, but touching someone's hand when you're talking to them, or, you know, expressing condolences, you know, definitely, you know, to touch someone is very personal. It's a very personal thing, and it will endear you to them, or it will certainly get your attention. Now, if you're very familiar with someone, you know, touching them might not be inviting unless you're touching another man's wife or another woman's husband. See, so, you know, you really have to, it's sometimes a very individual thing, right? I think leaning in while talking to someone is definitely, could be a little flirtatious, depending on how that is done. Of course, if they're a low talker and you want to lean in, of course. But leaning in, I think, is perhaps a flirtatious gesture. Standing very closely, definitely, moving in and, even rubbing shoulders or just touching, brushing up against them in a small way. And maybe even smiling. Smiling a lot might even be one way that we flirt. Definitely eye contact. I think that eye contact is very, very critical when you're thinking about flirting. And now, but I will say this, how I believe that when you're talking to a person, that if you don't look me in the eye, I don't know if I'm going to believe a single thing you say. I like to make eye contact with people when I talk to them. So remember that when you're with me, because I'm going to look you in the eye. I'm going to check you out. I hope that doesn't make you uncomfortable, but that's what I do. And I want you to know that when you're talking to me, I mean what I say. And I'm telling you the truth. It's important. I know I'm a court reporter. It's very important to me when a person, I administer the oath for them to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. So help you God. If they don't make eye contact with me, they've lost me. They've lost me. And so some of those things I believe are some ways that whether you're flirting or maybe it's, and how you deliver those as well as to whether or not maybe they've gone too far. I think at the end of the day, it's the shy guy that wins all the votes, not the blatant flirt. What about you? All right, guys, you could still call in 571-2428. We're going to be signing off.
WFIA, the Spirit.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisements. Services may not be available in all states. Attention women. New evidence shows that talcum powder products such as Johnson & Johnson's baby powder and shower to shower may cause ovarian cancer. If you or a loved one used talcum powder and were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, call 800-401-3160 right now. You may be entitled to significant cash compensation. Recently, Johnson & Johnson was ordered to pay $72 million in damages to the family of a woman who died of cancer she said was caused by the company's talcum powder. The jury found that Johnson & Johnson knew that these products could cause cancer and failed to warn consumers. If you or a loved one used talcum powder and were diagnosed with ovarian cancer, call 800-401-3160. You may be entitled to cash compensation. Time is limited. Call 800-401-3160 now. Our toll-free phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-401-3160. That's 800-401-3160. 800-401-3160.
When tragedy strikes Kentucky law enforcement officers and their families, you can help by displaying a law enforcement memorial license plate on your car or donating online. Log on to the memorial website at KLEMF.org today. Proceeds go directly to the families of officers killed in the line of duty and provide college scholarships for their children. Sponsored by the Kentucky Law Enforcement Memorial Foundation and aired in cooperation with the Kentucky Broadcasters Association and this station. Visit and donate at KLEMF.org today.
It's a comedic tale of two charming and eccentric ladies who dispense cheer to all, along with elderberry wine spiked with arsenic. But the ladies are not the only murderous members of the Brewster clan. Watch as murder and mystery unfolds in one of the zaniest comedies of the American